What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to talk about, some new cards that have gone and been revealed. But it's kind of weird, because one of these does something that, you know what? One Piece doesn't generally tend to do. And this makes me very happy indeed. But before we get to that, let's have a look at a new Yamato. Now, usual deal here, I have done these translations myself, but I have also checked with the lovely Orange Samurai D on Facebook, who checked with the Discord, and the lovely Rust Marrow over on Twitter. So what we've got here is a new super rare coming out in OP04, Kingdoms of Intrigue, or Conspiracy, depending on your language. 9 cost, 9,000 power is actually not great. Like, 9 cost, we want, 11,000 power we would expect if it was vanilla, or, 10,000. The fact that it's 9,9 kind of tells us this has to have a really good skill, or it's just, legit a bad card. And given that it's a super rare that they are showing off on the Twitter before the release of the set, I'm going to go ahead and assume it probably isn't a terrible card. But what does it actually do? Well, what we've got here is, on play, choose one of your opponent's characters whose cost is equal to or less than the total of yours and your opponent's life. Yeah, that's a little bit weird. So, start of the game, for instance, you've got 5 life, your opponent's got 5 life, you could KO a 10 cost character, which is obviously great, but then, of course, do bear in mind you are to begin with a 9 cost character, so it's going to take you, turn 5 before you get this rolling. Maybe you get to turn 5 and no one's taken any life. That could happen. I think it's fair to assume it probably won't. I don't think that's an unfair thing to suggest. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But there's more. Because not only do you get to KO a character, but if you have 1 or less life, you may add up to 1 life from the top of your deck to your life area. Oh, well, that sounds kind of good. And now this is kind of where we're rolling. It's an awkward one, all right? It's definitely an awkward one. Because in order for you to get the extra life, you must have 0 or 1 life remaining. But then, in order for you to be KOing a good character, your opponent has to have lots of life remaining. So let's say, for argument's sake, you've got 1 life, your opponent's got 5. Well, now you get to recover 1 and KO a 6 cost character, which is kind of awesome. Remember, you recover after the KO, so no, the life you just recovered doesn't count. But then, sure, you're going up to 2 life and you're KOing a 6 cost character, but you're still facing down an opponent who's got all 5 life remaining. So the reality is, most of the time, you're only actually going to be KOing a 3 or 4 cost character. But KOing a 3 or 4 cost character while recovering a life is a good thing. But there's going to be other turns, other games, where what you do is you play this down, and actually you do get an 8 cost character to actually go and KO, which is kind of amazing here, honestly. And at the end of the day, when you play this, you're still a 9,000 power character, and sure, the power might not be great, but it's still a 9,000 power character, and even if it's not as efficient as others, it's a 9,000 power character. A lot of the time, that's going to be pretty good. But a bunch of you probably saw this and thought the same as I did and went, well, hang on a second. What if we had a black and yellow leader? Because then we can take advantage of all those black cards that are reducing the cost of our opponent's characters, like that Kazan, for instance, that reduces, I know this is another very expensive card, I understand that, it's just an example, but that secret rare Kazan, the 10 cost that reduces all of your opponent's characters' cost by 5, well, there's a whole bunch of One Piece cards that are black that will reduce the cost of your opponent's cards, and then you can actually start taking advantage of those and KOing an 8 cost character, because actually you've got 1 life, your opponent's got 2, but you're lowering all their cost by 5, so you take an 8 cost down to a 3, and then you can KO them, and that's where this comes in. So it's Charlotte Linlin. That's what we're looking at here. This is basically a card, you don't have to play it with the Charlotte Linlin leader, but you probably should. We're talking about the Charlotte Linlin from OP03. It's Don X2, when attacking, pay 2, trash a card from your hand. If you have 1 or fewer life, put a card from the top of your deck onto your life. So actually this can recover you from 1 to 2 in the same way Yamato can. But really here, this is a case of you've kind of got to play it with this. Because honestly, and look, I think Yamato could be good in other decks. Like I say, you're still KOing a character, you're still recovering, you've still got 9,000 power. There is a lot to like about it. But let's be 100% clear, if you want to get full value from this card, you've got to be playing it with either this Charlotte Linlin or any other black and yellow leader that comes along in the future. At the moment, and as always, if I'm being dumb and forgetting one, please let me know in the comment section. But I've got to chat with the lovely folks over at onepiece-cardgame.dev who are pretty good at this. They've got a great little database to go and search. And it really seems like this is your option. For yellow and black leaders, it's this. So, recovering cards, recovering life, good. KOing a character, good, but you really need to combine it with black cards to get the most use out of it. Playing it with Charlotte Linlin, that is definitely the way to go. And again, 9,000 power, pretty cool. But there is another card that's gone and been revealed, and sure, it's not a super rare or any of that, but this one is also very, very interesting. It's Sasaki. Oh, as a side note, I've started really accelerating my reading of One Piece. I'm up to chapter like 65. I'm now starting to recognize a lot of characters from the card game. So give me a couple of months and I should have pretty much caught up. And then I'm going to know who all these characters are. And my One Piece knowledge is going to be up there with my TCG knowledge. And it's going to be wonderful. I haven't actually found Sasaki yet. I just wanted to pop that in the video. So yeah, Sasaki then. What have we got? Now this one is one that I had to really double take when I read it. We got free cost 4,000 power, counter plus 2,000, which is great. Every deck needs a few counter plus 2,000. And when you play, you put all of the cards in your hand into your deck and shuffle it. And then draw cards equal to the number of cards you've just returned. You completely refresh your hand. This is ridiculous. And the reason it's ridiculous is because this isn't what One Piece does. This is the kind of thing that the Pokemon trading card game does. One Piece has bad draw, and that's fine. It is a game where draw is not great, so we build our decks with that knowledge, and we take advantage of the draw cards that we have. I'm not complaining about the game. I love the One Piece card game, and by now you should all know that. But it is not a game with these kind of effects. Now, it really depends on how large your hand is. 2 or 3 card hand, you're not getting much out of this. But if you can get up to like a 6 card hand and then play Sasaki, and then all of a sudden you get a new 6 card hand, that is consistency that other cards just can't match. This is absolutely ridiculous. And like I say, the size of your hand when you play Sasaki is going to have a very big impact on this. And do remember, Sasaki is going to be a -1. So if you've got a 6 card hand, you play Sasaki. You've then got a 5 card hand. You shuffle that into your deck and draw another 5. But still, this is kind of ridiculous, honestly. Like, kind of genuinely actually ridiculous. And when I read this, and it's a new kind of card, so you're always worried, the cards we've seen before, the translations are much easier. When you got a new card like this, and your Japanese is coming on but not perfect like mine, I read this and I'm like, that looks like I'm shuffling my hand into my deck and then drawing the same number of cards. But that's not what the One Piece TCG generally does. Well, now it is. And when you combine it with the fact that this has counter plus 2,000, I'm going to need a good reason not to play this in like every blue deck moving forward. Like genuinely, I'm going to need a very good reason. Now, maybe there is a chance here that what ends up happening is we go, well, I've got a deck that's always got like 1 or 2 cards in hand. I am playing that kind of deck trying to, let's say you're playing an Ivankov deck, and you're trying to have an empty hand at the end of every turn so that you can draw 2, maybe this isn't going to give you that much value, and that's absolutely fine. But if you've got any kind of deck that's playing with, say, 4 or more cards in hand regularly, the counter plus 2,000 plus this ridiculous consistency bump you're going to be getting here, this seems ridiculous. This seems like genuinely, utterly ridiculous. This is the kind of card where I go and have a look at what other people are looking at, and I go, hang on a second, this is kind of ridiculous. Are people agreeing with me? And yes, people are agreeing with me. Every comment I see says this is busted. Also, not for nothing, but remember we have a whole bunch of cards in this game. Take Nami from Romance Dawn as an example. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal a Straw Hat Crew type card other than Nami and add it to your hand. Place the remaining cards at the bottom of the deck in any order. I know Nami's a red card and we're talking about a blue card. I just think Nami's brilliant so far in the manga. Just unashamedly, I'm going to steal all the treasure. I don't care about you. I am all about the treasure. I don't know. There's something refreshing about that. Nami's really cool. But the point is, this is an example of a skill we see a lot. Look at the top X cards of your deck. Find something. Put the rest to the bottom of your deck. Now, this is hugely important for this particular card because with a game like One Piece that generally has bad draw, putting cards at the bottom of your deck means that they are gone forever. Or not forever, but until you get to like the bottom of your deck. Having shuffle cards then randomizes your deck. So those cards that you put to the bottom of your deck that you thought were gone aren't gone anymore. They are now randomly in your deck and you may draw back into them. One of the things that makes Nami's put them at the bottom of your deck such a huge downside, although it's a great card and we play it anyway, is the fact that we don't have shuffling in One Piece. So when those cards go to the bottom of the deck, they stay there. Is this honestly going to be the only shuffling card we ever see? No, I refuse to believe that. Having a card, first of all, an actual hand refresh in One Piece is ridiculous. Secondly, having a card that shuffles changes so many of these cards that put cards at the bottom of your deck and kind of take them away from you. That is all different now. This card is huge. And I would have put something on the thumbnail like this is huge. This card is huge. Like genuinely huge. The fact that you've got a hand refresh is huge. The fact that I can actually shuffle my deck and switch it around in case I've had to put cards on the bottom of my deck is huge. Yeah. Yamato's kind of a fun headliner because, hey, it's a big new super rare and it could actually be really good. But make no mistake about it, the giant news in this video is this Sasaki. Right. That is the giant news. I've talked about the giant news and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me if you think this is as huge as I do, and I really do think this is huge. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.